Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I'm so excited about today's presentation with Dr. Tim Novelli, founder of the Patriot Project, and my very good friend, not a doctor, chiropractic groupie, Bharon Hoag. And rest assured that he is the first one to call himself a chiropractic groupie. So I'm not just making stuff up on the fly, although a reasonable thing to assume. But I'm super excited. They're going to be talking about not just the Patriot Project, but the work they've been doing to make chiropractic care readily available to active duty military and to veterans. They've been doing some phenomenal things, and we are super excited to have them here today. And we are recording now, sir.
All right. Well, hey, everybody. My name is Bharon Hoag. I'm the executive director of One.
Back into the project. And I said, it's funded by my clinic. My staff does a lot of the work. I have a staff of maybe 10 volunteers, all volunteers that help us get ready for the fall, help us do whatever we need to do. So every penny that you would give goes to the project.
That's awesome. And I can vouch that's true. I've witnessed Dr. Novelli, and actually we've had arguments about making sure that he stops dipping in his own pocket and allows things to work as they should. But that's one of the reasons I love you, Dr. Novelli, and I'll go to the grave fighting with you, my friend. So, well, listen, everyone, thank you for your time, man. Hopefully this has been exciting to you. We want to give you a sense of hope. This isn't doom or gloom. We've got some great days ahead of us. There's some amazing work that's being done. You have some champions in our profession that aren't showboating themselves on magazines or on stages that are actually making things happen. We do need to spread the word. The last thing I'll tell you, and sorry, I'm kind of going back because I forgot to add this in earlier. The other thing you can do to help both of us, if you know key individual military people, right now we're trying to collect as many generals, as many senior officers, active duty, retired, separated for medical, whatever the case may be. If you have these people, please, please, please reach out to me through my website, onechiropractic.org. Just go to contact us and it'll go directly to me. Or my email literally is Bharon@onechiropractic.org. So it's very simple, Bharon, Bharon @onechiropractic.org. Email me because I'd love to have these conversations. Our lobbyists are asking us for as many key people as possible to show the DOD the support that we have behind us. So we're looking, if you know of people maybe in your state that already have a civilian contract at a base, I'd love to talk with them to learn the culture of what they're doing, what they're seeing as issues, if they had a wish list. We're trying to collect as much information as we can so that when we're talking to these key people within the DOD or the government, that we have tangible information to give them, not theories. So if you yourself, or if you know of somebody, or you treat a patient that's kind of a VIP within the military, please reach out to me. I'd love to hold a conversation, share what we're doing, and get their feedback of directions and things that we should do. We don't claim to have it all figured out, but we're going to keep hustling and we're going to make this happen. So with that, I appreciate you, Dr. Novelli. Any final words?
No, thank you, Bharon. Thank you, Chrissy.
All right. Well, listen, we love and appreciate you. ChiroHealthUSA, thank you for the platform. Thank you for the offer to be able to share what we're doing in this space. Those of you watching, I'm going to leave you with this. Remember that who you are and what you do is enough. Don't get bogged down with the distractions of your business or reimbursement or all of that. Fall back in love with your mission. Fall back in love with telling the story of chiropractic. It will transform you. It'll transform your staff, and it'll transform those that you're associated with. And you become magnetic in your practice when you're eluding your confidence in your trade. So wherever you're at, we have a world that's listening now for the first time ever. Make sure you're telling your story, because chiropractic's the answer, man. We appreciate you and know there are those of us fighting to make sure that chiropractic is appropriately implemented into every aspect of the military. So with that, I'll say God bless you. Thank you for loving what we love, and we'll see you somewhere across this beautiful profession. God bless.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
And we are recording now, sir.
All right. Well, hey, everybody. My name is Bharon Hoag. I'm the executive director of OneChiropractic, and I'm honored to be with my friend, my business partner, my colleague, my fellow warrior, Dr. Tim Novelli. And today, we've been asked to kind of share with you what's going on as it relates to chiropractic in the military. And I know that, most of our profession has a strong desire to see chiropractic more appropriately implemented into the military, but no one really knows what's going on other than individual chiropractors across the country that maybe have made inroads at a local base or inroads at a local VA, or maybe you're one of the few that have been hired by an actual VA hospital to work in conjunction. But we're talking about like literally saturating the military with chiropractic, which I think if you take the time to think about that, the impact that'll have not only to our profession, but to our world at large. But I'm excited to share with Dr. Novelli. So we're going to kind of, for those of you that maybe don't know the story, Dr. Novelli, I'd kind of like to start in the beginning and just let people know kind of who you are, what the Patriot Project is really about. You've had, considering where we started and everyone telling you you'd never make it out a year, to being where we are now, right? It's pretty incredible. And I'm honored to have been a part of that from the very beginning with you. But I kind of want to share kind of where we started and where things were at, kind of what you've been doing through the project. And I'll share what we're doing together through the military project and bring everybody up to speed. And then we'll kind of end it with what they can do, because we do have some action steps that I think the general profession can do to help us with the efforts that we're taking on. But to kind of get started, Dr. Novelli, give us just a little rundown. I know this is on auto repeat for you because everyone asks you how you got started, but for the purposes of this crowd, share with us kind of who you are, what the Patriot Project is really about, and kind of how you got to where you are.
Well, thank you, Bharon and Chrissy, for having me. I said it's very exciting to be part of this. So about 2012, I believe I had an opportunity to serve at a military event in Texas. And I said, well, sure, I'll volunteer. I'm happy to work with our military. And make a long story short, worked over 3 days, 7 in the morning till 9 at night, with lines of military and their families who were telling me, many of them were addicted to drugs and many of them were in so much pain. They weren't getting help. They were getting automatic refills and things that chiropractors see in our office every day with such great success. And so that was really transforming for me. That when I came back, I knew that there was more I could do. So I met with Bharon. Bharon was at the time in charge of the Ohio State Chiropractic Association. I said, Bharon, and he, I didn't even get out of my mouth. Bharon says, whatever you need, count me in. It's a great idea. His dad was military. My dad's military. Family's military. And so from that point on, we started growing that, opportunities to speak at a convention, whether it be FCA or the OSCA or Parker or people who've supported us from the very beginning. And we started growing. And with the growth, we started getting support from the military. And with that, we started picking up icons in the military, generals, admirals, astronauts. We now have 14 Medal of Honor recipients who sit on our board. We had 15, one passed here recently. There are only 69 living Medal of Honor recipients, and only 30 to 35 get around anymore because of their age and infirmaries. And so for us to have 14 is unprecedented. You'll never find a Fortune 500 company or I don't care how big the 501c3 or charity is, they cannot say that. And it's really quite an honor, because these men not only are protective of their reputation, they're very protective of the Medal of Honor reputation. Mm-hmm. So they know we're doing the right things for the right reasons. And we have now grown to over 9,200 chiropractors in all 50 states. And we estimate the growth we need to be at least 20,000 to 25,000 to meet the demand that we can't meet. We're sparse in some states, but the demand is so great that these men and women want what we have to offer, that they'll line up for the chiropractic care. And I believe the U.S. military has maybe 200 subcontracted chiropractors at this time.
Yep.
We have 9,200.
Right.
I said we can't begin to scratch the surface of the need. So we have our goal is to be fully implemented, to be commissioned in the military like our counterparts, the allopaths and the osteopaths. That has still not happened. Bharon's hard work there with some lobbyists. We're looking to get that done. And with the Medal of Honor recipients not opening doors for us that have never been opened before. But I'll let Bharon talk about some of those things now, what's going on with that.
Yeah, that's amazing. But I do want to double back to make sure people are clear on really what the mission of the Patriot Project is. So when Dr. Novelli went to that meeting, he was treating these people, and I've witnessed it. I've gone to a few of these, and it's incredible. There literally is a line of people that have never even considered chiropractic. They get adjusted, and by the end of the weekend, they're coming to him, hugging him, crying, saying, I actually slept last night. And we've all heard those stories in our clinics, but when you see it from these men that are missing limbs, or these men that have literally been told this is what life has to offer them moving forward, for them to have any glimpse of hope. I even saw, a veteran bring in their child that, had very colicky, had a lot of issues breastfeeding, wouldn't connect. Dr. Novelli adjusted the baby. The next day, the mom came in, and I thought she was going to divorce her husband and marry Tim because she was so unbelievably thankful. So to see it of these most deserving men and women, it really is a sight to behold. It's something amazing. But Dr. Novelli would go to these events, and some of the other patriots that are a part of it, they treat them for the weekend and then they'd send them home. And then these doctors wouldn't know what to do, right? We know chiropractic is an ongoing thing. It's not a one fix, one adjustment and everything is fixed. So that's where the birth of the idea came, is we need more chiropractors across the country, that as we're getting out and making this military population aware of what's available, that we can find doctors in their hometowns and their home states where they can get care. And when Dr. Novelli says 9,200, that means he has 92 chiropractors that have raised their hand to say, we're willing to treat a Gold Star family, a Purple Heart, an active duty military member or their family. Because we, right now, TRICARE doesn't cover it. Right now, the VA doesn't do a great job of making referrals. They do in pockets, but not universally to the level that it should happen. So unfortunately, we as a profession need to step up for the most deserving men and women and say, we're here for you. We understand there's not benefits. We understand economically you don't really have the means to go out and do this. So we're going to step up and make sure you get the care you need. That's why I fell in love with the vision. And it was 100% service-based. It was 100% about making sure men and women are getting introduced to chiropractic. And on the flip side, what the action item was with the Patriot Project that was so amazing to me is these are men and women that typically don't like handouts. They don't like being treated like charity cases. So the methodology, the psychology behind this offer was not just to give free care, because nobody can exist with a free clinic. However, when these men and women get this care, and it's that pivotal, their first question, and this is where all of the Medal of Honor recipients came from, the generals, the first question is, okay, now what can we do for you? More people need to know this. So the idea was, if we could get 1 million military or military families or whatever saying, going to the DOD, going to their different individual branches saying, this is ridiculous. You are willing to pay for my meds, but you're not willing to pay for my chiropractic. Unbelievable. We wanted them to go on our behalf, right? It's always better when someone else sees us as a solution rather than us raising our hand constantly saying we're the solution. So that's been happening, which Dr. Novelli, I want to thank you again for your heart and your ministry. And for a long time, you pumped in your own money to make this happen and to make sure these men and women got where they needed to be to tell our story. And I just am so thankful there are people like you, which is why I've been tied to your hip since then, because I just love people that are willing to put their money where their mouth is. So the Patriot Project has been an incredible, incredible resource for our profession. And I'll say this without any tongue in cheek, and I don't say it derogatory, but your nonprofit has been used by all of our nationals at different times to use your VIPs for their message. The ACA has used your guys. The Foundation for Chiropractic Progress has used you. Chiropractic schools have used the work that you've done. So whether people know it or not, all the times you see Congressional Medal of Honor recipients, or you see generals, or you see those things, they've pretty much come from the Patriot Project. They've come from the work Dr. Novelli has done, that he has so graciously partnered with these other institutions to help them with their campaign, because our mission is to get chiropractic into the military. And so from that aspect, Dr. Novelli, again, I thank you so much. I do want to quickly note, and we'll talk about it again, your biggest fundraiser for the year is a military ball that you do in Canton, Ohio, the first weekend of November every year. And I've been to this thing. I've been to every chiropractic event there is, the Parkers, the FCA Nationals, all of the big consulting group events. I've put on my own events. I've never seen anything like the Patriot Ball anywhere in our profession ever in the 25 years that I've been a part of it, because the majority of the audience isn't chiropractors. It's firemen, it's policemen, it's military families, everybody in their dress blues. And you had, I think it was 800 at the one in 2019. Is that correct? 2020 got canceled, but how many?
735.
735 people, which rivals almost any chiropractic event in the country as far as grouping people together. But that event is 100% about explaining why chiropractic needs to be integrated into the military and planting those seeds. Dr. Novelli has partnered with the NFL Football Hall of Fame. He's partnered with other organizations that have caught his vision because of the quality of people that are associated with the Patriot Project. He's branching outside the profession, and sadly, and I know this is a frustration, he'll never say it, but I'll say it, he gets more help from outside the profession than inside the profession when it comes to moving these initiatives. But that's okay. We're going to do whatever we got to do to accomplish the goal. But I do want to recommend, if you've never gone and if you've heard about it or maybe never heard about it, mark that date in your calendar. I'll be showing you the Patriot Project website here at the end. Go to the site, see about it. I know I just talked to Dr. Novelli the other day, and he's excited about 2021's program. He has big talent that comes. It's a wonderful dinner. It's got, Tito's shot luges on ice. I mean, it's literally top notch. Silent auctions with incredible stuff. But really, you're rubbing elbows with those Medal of Honor recipients we were talking about, with generals, just amazing people to celebrate chiropractic in the military. It's pretty phenomenal. So for a purpose of fundraising for him, I really want you to consider going to the ball on the first weekend in November. So, all right, enough of the infomercial. Now I'll kind of lead into where we're at now and what we're doing. The Patriot Project actually had 4 main pillars that I fell in love with. In my organization, OneChiropractic, once I left the Ohio State Chiropractic Association, I made a commitment to Dr. Novelli that I wanted to continue to be a part of and support what's happening in the Patriot Project. And I really connected with those 4 pillars. The first and foremost was to get chiropractors on forward operating bases, meaning that in order for us to stop the hemorrhaging that's happening within the military of early separation, of neuromusculoskeletal conditions of leaving. And right now, I believe the statistic is almost 82% of every active duty military that separates from the military is leaving with some type of neuromusculoskeletal condition. That's an astronomical statistic. And then the amount of those people that are on some type of pharmaceutical is almost 100% if they're already diagnosed with one of those conditions, because that's really the only tool the military has in a toolbox for non-acute, broken bones, lacerations. They're great with that stuff. The military is probably better than anyone else when it comes to broken bones, cuts, those types of things. But when it comes to the silent killers that we know of, which are those neuromusculoskeletal, emotional, chemical type issues, they don't really have an answer for it. And we do as a profession, and the data shows that. So I really connect with that vision of getting chiropractors on forward operating bases where we can actually treat our men and women pre and post mission. We can actually, just like our athletes, right? We do this with the NFL, we do it with golf, we do it with almost every sport. We keep our athletes in top form, and then we also help them get back to top form if there is an injury. Why can't we do that for our military? So we at OneChiropractic took that very seriously, and we said, you know what? We need to help the Patriot Project, and we need to do something bigger than they're capable of doing on their own, because they're a C3 organization, which means they can't do certain things like lobbying or going out and lawsuits and different things like that because of their charity status. But we're a C6 as OneChiropractic. So we went to them and said, listen, what if we actually hired a lobbyist on behalf of this initiative of getting chiropractors on forward operating bases? And then we reached out to a number of state associations to help us fund this project of hiring a lobbyist to go in and actually get chiropractors as commissioned officers in the military, because that's the only way it's going to happen that we're on forward operating bases, is if we're actually a part of the military. And whether you know this or not, right now a chiropractor cannot join the Army, Navy, Marines, Air Force, the National Guard, Coast Guard. They can't join any of those and actually function as a chiropractor right now. There's no pathway. It's not a legislative issue because George Bush Sr. signed this into law in '93 as part of the NDAA. So it's been allowed. It's just never happened. And no one's really been pushing that button. So we thought, you know what? If not us, then who? So a year ago, we started working with a lobbying firm. And I'm very, very happy to say we're opening doors in large part because of the quality of individuals that the Patriot Project has allowed us to use in going and having conversations with legislature, with the DOD, even with the White House. We were very, very close to getting an executive order with President Trump. Everyone knows how that process went, so I don't need to get into why that didn't happen. But through that transition period, it didn't happen. But what did happen in that process was the DOD was made aware that the White House wants this to happen. And that's led to more conversations. And I am happy to say that the Biden administration is still continuing that work. And we're getting one of the chairs of the armed services of the Senate actually just signed on yesterday to jump on to our campaign to tell the DOD it's time to get chiropractors in forward operating bases, to get them as commissioned officers. So we are working tirelessly. I'm so thankful to the states that have helped us, the Michigan Association of Chiropractors, the Nebraska Chiropractic Physicians Association, the Colorado Chiropractic Association, ChiroHealthUSA, Dr. Ray Foxworth, they jumped in and helped us with this initiative. The Patriot Project, OneChiropractic has been funding as well. So we've got a number of organizations. The North Carolina Chiropractic Association helped and supported. So we've got these organizations that said, hey, we're all about this mission and initiative of getting chiropractors into the military. So I want you to know there are things happening. I also want to clarify a couple points. And Dr. Novelli, I'm going to have you jump in on some of this as well, because you know some of these statistics. But as it sits today, there has been a law passed that is requiring the VAs to hire chiropractors. But in most cases, they're hiring one or two for the entire hospital. And so they're grossly overworked, meaning, and Dr. Novelli, I think you do some work with this as well, but I mean, it's almost a 2 to 3 month wait for some of these veterans to actually get to the chiropractor. Is that correct?
Well, yes, and some longer than that. What we're finding, so on base, for example, Fort Lewis in Washington State, there are 50,000 troops that are stationed there, along with their families. So you figure they had one, they may have two now, but this was when Leroy was there, one of our board members, Medal of Honor recipient. They had one chiropractor to feed, or to take care for 250,000 people, we'll say. And so Leroy, being a Medal of Honor recipient, it took him weeks to get an appointment for himself. Now remember, there's no one more than a Medal of Honor recipient in our military. And it took him weeks. And he said, and so he's asked, after being familiar with what we're talking about chiropractic care in the military, he says, okay, he says, so I got to visit. Now I need to come back. He says, well, yeah, it'll be a couple. He says, well, wait a minute. How can it be if I'm still hurting? And said, but my wife needs to come. Well, she gets to come only after there's no military need. Well, there's 50,000 people here. What do you mean? Yeah, we need more, but in the meantime, pushing more drugs, pushing whatever physical therapy or whatever they want to do. And he says, that's unacceptable. He says, we need to change that. And that's why he's one of our biggest proponents, because he witnessed firsthand, if he couldn't get the care he needs, she says, well, you have to go back. Yeah, that's one thing, you have to keep going back to the chiropractor. She says, well, wait a minute. These pills you're giving me, how many times do I have to go back to these every day to get no cure? She says, yeah. And that's his big thing. He says, you say I have to go back to the chiropractor. I have to go back to these pills how many times a day and how many different pills? Just send me to a chiropractor every couple of weeks and you save yourself the money.
Right.
So that's where he says, so that's, I said, over there, that's just one case. Now, what we do, I said that it's free, that we say it's free care, and it is free care, but we still have our, especially veterans with a DD 214 disability rating, we have them go. They said, what do you want to do, Chris? What you need to do is go to the VA and schedule an appointment with your primary care physician. And you tell them, I don't want PT, I don't want drugs, I want chiropractic care. And if they don't give it to you, tell them, please put that in writing and put your name on it. Of course, they don't do that. So, well, you come back and give the name to your doctor. And that we encourage that doctor then to call his local state representative or state senator or congressman and say, here's what's happening. Yeah. This isn't a favor they're doing me. This is one of the benefits I fought for. Now I want this. Yep. And so now what they're trying to do is put, okay, well, you have to come to our chiropractor then. No, your chiropractor works this day a week, and does this. I'm already established here. We tell them to fight, and we're fighting for them. But in 80% of 90% of the cases now, we're getting paid for our veterans because we're educating them that this isn't a favor they're doing you. You insist on it. Yep. And so that's been working out great. Now there's still the active military and their families in Gold Star that have no chiropractic benefits. And that's the other thing we're trying to change, that we want to be, I said, supplying them care. And you said forward operating bases. My background was mostly sports before I got involved in the Patriot Project. I worked with the Olympic athletes. I worked with the professional football players, NFL teams. And the difference was that when we would get them, they would come when they were feeling good to begin to educate them that it's not just a matter of injuries, it's a matter of performance. And there's nothing better than for chiropractic to increase athletes' performance. Well, these military men and women are specialized athletes. But the difference is millimeters and milliseconds that we improve speed or reaction time could mean a Super Bowl ring or a gold medal. But in military, especially in war, you're talking life and death. That's right. And that's what we're trying to get the point across, that we're taking, these and improving their performance, because I don't care who you or what you are. If you're in battle and you have body armor and a rucksack that may be 70 pounds and a rifle and the stress of battle, you're suffering musculoskeletal injuries. Mm-hmm. And chiropractic being there on forward operating bases to get these guys recover quicker, to perform better for their next mission, save lives, save families. And when they come home, I tell the young doctors to join that we're giving back Christmas. And they, what do you mean by that? I said that we're giving back Christmas because when mom and dad are more present in the family, they're off their medications, they're out of pain. All of a sudden, you're talking, they're going to be there for the holidays instead of being lethargic or in pain on the couch, going to Johnny's football games, Susie's ballet recitals, all those things that you're helping, making that family stronger, making the community stronger, and making America stronger.
That's right. That's awesome, dude. I love it. And I want to talk a couple points there. I want to highlight again what Dr. Novelli said. This is something for you to do in your local area. It is law now that if a veteran requests chiropractic care, they can get it outside of the VA. There just needs to be a referral. And if they refuse to get a referral, that's where if the primary care at the VA says, no, I'm not going to do that, or like he stated, you need to use someone within the VA, that there's a bill that passed that says they can get it anywhere as long as the VA is aware of it and making the referral. And then that practicing chiropractor that's outside of the VA can then bill the VA to get reimbursed. And so there's a process to go through with that. And we are encouraging our doctors, we need to step up as a profession. And this isn't about getting you paid. It's about making sure the military starts seeing that there's a need for this. As we're fighting and we're working with the DOD, actually it came back from the Surgeon General of the Army when we sent in a few letters from our legislators. They said, well, there's really no need for chiropractic in the military because we've already got physical therapists and DOs. And which is a very ignorant statement. We all know that. We don't need to get irritated by that. It just shows the level of education we need to do. So we were very happy to respond back and lay out the military's own data that shows the massive improvement. Actually, the research said it was a statistically significant impact when you introduce chiropractic to normal allopathic model of care. So we didn't take anything away. Chiropractic didn't replace PT or didn't replace the medical model. It was added to it. And there was a statistically significant improvement in outcomes when chiropractic was added. And that was actually a DOD study that was done. So we used their own information to educate these people. And the response we got back from that was, oh, we didn't realize that. So it's really an ignorance. And I know that word has a negative connotation, but we need to step up. And when we have the law on our side, like what Dr. Novelli shared, and we can teach our military how to go to the VA and actually get that benefit for our veterans, we need to do that, not because it's about us, but because we need that data being shown within the VA, because there are positive things happening within the VA. I'm actually taking a trip out to Fargo, North Dakota. Who would have ever figured Fargo, North Dakota? But that VA there actually has 3 chiropractors on staff, and they're in plans right now to create a chiropractic wing as a part of their VA hospital. And that was in large part from one of the heroes that are a part of the Patriot Project, Medal of Honor recipient Clint Romeshay. And he's been working hard and educating and asking why things aren't happening. And that particular VA is doing things I've never seen. They've actually, and this is another tidbit to walk away with, Doc, as far as terminology, if you're really wanting to get involved in the VA or maybe interdisciplinary care in your practice, this is the new thing that's happening. As I'm interviewing the doctors at the VA in Fargo, they told me that the biggest shift that happened is when they got chiropractic out of structural, out of alignment stuff, and they moved it into whole health. And they said, as soon as our hospital understood that what we did was whole health, all of a sudden we started getting referrals from every department, the ER, we got referrals from allopathics, we got orthopedics, all of this stuff, because now we weren't pigeonholed into this just structural alignment type side. So it opened up everyone's awareness to the power of what a chiropractic adjustment can do, which we all know that. So that's the new terminology that's happening in the interdisciplinary world, is whole health. So I'm going to strongly recommend that all of us start using that terminology, that what we do with our patients is whole health. It's not allocated to the spine. It's not allocated to a condition or a symptom. It's really getting the entire body, which we know this, right? The whole safety pin cycle, brain, body, nervous system. But for years, they've been debunking that terminology. So let's start using their terminology that tells our story, which is whole health, that we are a part of providing whole health to our patients. Go ahead, Dr. Novelli.
We also armed Bharon with, when he went to Congress, or when he went to the lobbyists, was a letter signed by 22 Medal of Honor recipients saying that the military needs chiropractic care, that they wanted this for their brothers and sisters and for themselves and for their families. And that was very powerful. In fact, a copy of that was sent to every congressman and senator. It was sent to every head of departments, VA, not attorney general,
Surgeon General's,
Surgeon General's office. And one was even hand delivered to President Trump by a Medal of Honor recipient. He sent back a nice letter congratulating what we're doing and was all for it. And so that was, again, we have the highest ears of the government right now for chiropractic, and we just need to push it over the goal line. And hopefully,
and we are close. And I'm telling
Bharon involved in the organizations like yours, Chrissy, involved, that will help us do that. And again, instead of 15% of the population, God forbid we see 30% or 80% of the population start, because once we get in the military, it will open the doors for the whole nation, that if the military wants it, then should be getting it too. And that's how it is with many things in this country, that the military leads the way, and then it goes to the rest of the country. So that,
and I want to tag on that, because that's a huge point, Dr. Novelli, and I teased it in the very beginning, and I really want to hone in on that for a second, so those watching this understand why we believe this is the singular biggest thing that chiropractic can do to get over that hump of more utilization. So just think about it for a second. The number of people that are in the military. So just imagine with me that we are properly integrated, which means we have maybe 50, 60,000 chiropractors that are functioning in all branches of the military at some level, both foreign and domestic bases, just fully saturated. The access to it is very, very, very good for active duty and enlisted men and women. Let's just pigeonhole it to that. So just follow me with this analogy for a second. If they're getting active care, which we already know when people get introduced to chiropractic, they love it and they want to keep getting it. We know that there are a number of positions in the military. So let's use the Air Force, for example. The flyboys, they can't fly if they're on narcotics. So they've got to hide it, or they're sharing each other's urine for piss tests. I mean, we know all this stuff happens, right? Because no one wants to be grounded in that after all the work you do to get to that point. When they find out they can get adjusted regularly and that keeps them in their planes, they're going to want it more regularly. So let's just assume we're actively treating that population. Now, what do you think they're going to do when they get out of the military? When they separate from the military, whether it was a medical discharge or just their normal healthy discharge because their time is up, when they've already been used to that level of care in the military, they're going to be seeking it when they get out, right? So this isn't just about, well, that doesn't help me today in my practice. We've got to kind of stop thinking that way as a profession, that everything's got to have an immediate return, because that's gotten us nowhere in the last 125 years. It'll be 126 years this coming September that we've been a profession. And most of that time, I would say the last 30 years, it's been about, what are you doing for me now? We've been all about reimbursement. We've been all about discrimination. And we've been focusing on how do we get out of the way of ourselves for the next period of time. What happens when we start thinking beyond today and beyond tomorrow, and thinking about what happens for the next generation of chiropractors? My daughter's currently in chiropractic school. She's in sixth quarter at Sherman. And I'm thinking about, what's it going to be like for her? My son will be headed to chiropractic school in 2 years. What's it going to be like in 6 years for him? That's the work that I'm doing, not for me today, but for them as we create a pathway for people down the road. And imagine from the chiropractic side that, let's say in 3 years, we get this completely saturated. All branches of the military have a pathway for chiropractors. Right out of school, we have an employment opportunity for our doctors. Right? They can serve their country right out of school and have their job, get loan repayment, which has really been non-existent for the chiropractic profession. So they go out and talk about experience. And then when they choose to end their term in the military, they can come back out, and what an unbelievable experience they have as a veteran chiropractor to come back and use the skills that they've learned within the military to help the general population. The ripple effect of this work, literally single-handedly, it's bigger than Medicare. It's bigger than getting an insurance company in your town to cover you. This is talking about generational change, which is why we have put our money where our mouth is. The Patriot Project's doing it. These state associations that have jumped on with us. This is a big, big deal, but we've got to go about it differently than we have before. We can't just sit and complain and say it's not fair, it's discriminatory. We have to take an approach that we're taking now, which is very strategic. And we're going after our friends within the legislature, and we're making unbelievable friends we've never had before. About this issue, because everyone, for the most part, likes to talk good about the military. They'll say they love our military, they're friends with it. So it gives us an opportunity to go in on that note, but tell the chiropractic story, and we're blowing people away. They're like, oh my gosh, we had no idea. Personally, I've done probably 42 calls with House representatives and senators and their staffers. And I will say, with God as my witness, probably 15 to 30 of those people are now going to a chiropractor themselves because of the information we've shared with them about what we're trying to do within the military. And so it's working. We're getting that flood of people that are becoming champions for chiropractic. And the military just is a conversation we're using to get in there. And I believe within this year, 2021, and I'll say this in a recorded format, within this year, we will have a pathway created for chiropractors to go in at least one branch of the military. I'm not delusional to think that just tomorrow all 4 branches or 5 branches are going to open it up and say, okay, let them come in. This is going to be a process, but we will get done this year. We will create a pathway to get our first few chiropractors as commissioned officers in the military. I believe with everything I am, we're starting the year off the right way with the work and the people that Dr. Novelli is giving us. It's pretty incredible. So I want to kind of finish up our time together saying what you can do for us, because I am not ashamed to ask you to help what we're trying to achieve here. So, Dr. Novelli, I want to let you first with the Patriot Project. What can people do for you? How do they become a part? How can they raise their hand and grow you to that 20,000 number? And what can people do to help you with the project?
They can just go to the website, patriot-project.org, and sign up. Now, I don't have the resources, again, to send you a welcoming kit and all these things to go with it. But what we can do is we give you the PDF of the Patriot Project logo. And we tell you, put it on your scrubs, put it on your shirts, put it on your front window, that, you will get more people in your office. Yeah, you'll give some free services away, but I promise you, you're going to get more customers who are paying customers that will beat a path to your door because you're the Patriot Project chiropractor. You're the one helping their nephew or their grandson who's in the military that maybe, you're not treating them, but another chiropractor is willing to step up and help them. And nothing resonates with families more than someone helping another family member or someone they love, that they have the same value system as you do. So join there, copy this stuff. It's an honor system. Now remember, don't put your own spin on it. Either you're going to be a Patriot Project doctor or you're not going to be a Patriot Project doctor.
Right.
And that means free care. That means no discount. No, I'll treat you this week and that week. They're free. There's no bait and switch. That's why we have the reputation we have, because we're doing the right things for the right reason. The other thing you can do is, again, come to the ball in November. And if you can't come, buy a table or a ticket, and we'll give it to a Gold Star family member or a military or a first responder that can come and learn what we're doing and support chiropractic, because the bottom line is we're going to increase your bottom line. If we achieve our goals, not only for the companies who are supporting us, but the doctors who are supporting us, and those who are not, are going to get more business, more revenue. If that's what you want to look at, your main goal is, you're going to get that. But I said, that's the byproduct of what we're doing. That's not the reason we're doing it, but the byproduct will be increased patient loads for you, increased supplies bought by the companies supporting us, increased services by the companies supporting us. So get involved. It's the first November of every year. I know there's some other things going on, so if you can't make it this year, still buy a table, buy a ticket, and say, I want this used for a Gold Star family or a military person who'd like to attend the ball. That's the biggest thing you can do. And you can do that online there too.
That's awesome.
That's our only source of revenue.
Yeah, and it's really all they do. You notice he's not asking you just to go to the page and give. Dr. Novelli, actually, we're business partners in some clinics because he absolutely hates asking people for money. So we're being very creative in how we're generating resources for the project so that we don't have to beg other people for money. But I'm telling you, the ball is worth it. It's less expensive than your average convention. And I promise you will have more fun. It literally is a top-notch event.
Thank y'all so much for learning a little bit more about chiropractic in the military and about the Patriot Project and the work that's being done by OneChiropractic. Again, I've posted the links inside the chat box so you can learn more about the Patriot Project and OneChiropractic, including how to volunteer to participate with the Patriot Project. They're always looking for volunteers. So, Terry, that was a great question. She said, I thought it was illegal to give away services to federally funded plans because it's considered an inducement. But the Patriot Project is a not-for-profit organization, so it is set up completely differently, which gives an umbrella of being able to do that. So, like, you couldn't do that yourself in your practice, but you can do it under the Patriot Project. And Dr. Novelli and Bharon can both provide you with the information about that. So again, I've also posted Bharon's email address if you have any questions about either one of the organizations, how you can help, things like that, for feedback. And bear with them, the Patriot Project website, we've got a lot of updating to do. I recently volunteered to help with marketing and updating the website. So we have a lot of updating to do. So if it says that the next Patriot Ball is in 2019, that is not the case. It's actually the first weekend in November 2021. And so we'll have all of that information updated very, very soon. So thank you so much for listening today. And again, if you have any questions, just send them my way, or you can email Bharon, but I'll make sure that Bharon and Dr. Novelli get those and we'll follow up with you. Thank y'all so much and have a great day.